Alright, hey, what's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Cop AI for Clickteam Fusion 2.5. Cop AI. It's basically kind of like here. This is kind of what I got so far. This is not really. Not really trying to make a game. I'm trying to make like a simple, like just to do Cop AI for like a cops and robbers style game. So anyway, it would work like this, where the cop would patrol the area around, and then when you go near it, it would basically start chasing you or whatever, and it wouldn't stop chasing you until you leave its line of sight. And then the thing on the bottom right is basically telling you if you're being chased. So if you're being chased, then it's gonna start blinking, and then when the timer is up, you escape or whatever. Which that's a bit more complex. I'm just gonna do like the main cop AI or whatever. So really, for the cop AI, all you need is three things: the player, the cop, and the circle of line of sight. And then also we're going to get into a very short brief thing about how to make a, like, telling you if you're getting chased or whatever. So anyway, you need to make the player and the properties. You need to make this, click on the running guy. It needs to be 8 directions. The cop needs to be bouncing ball, and this just needs to be static. So that's pretty much it for all the things on this screen you need. And you need this to be pretty big because this is the line of sight, how much the cop can see. And you kind of want to make the cop and the player, about the same size. So anyway, now we're going to get into the programming. Just hit Control E. And now this is kind of confusing, but we'll get into it. These three right here are not very important. We're not going to get into these because these are just like if you win or whatever, but we're just working on the AI right now. So always you want this to be invisible, and you need to set the position at the cop. Now if you don't know how to do that, you go select position and then you do relative to the cop. Okay, and then now for this you basically need to have it where you go to this position, test position of cop 1, and you need to click on these arrows, this one, that one, and that one. So once you do that, it will have that, and then you need to click on this, and it needs to be movement and bounce. It has to bounce off the wall, so that way it can't leave the play area, or else you'd just be friggin' driving around and stuff, and it'd be pretty boring because there'd be no cops. And right now we're just working on one cop, because making 2 cops is a bit more complex, because that means you have to have another one of these and another one of these, and they have to be each individual. You can't just copy and paste. That won't work like that. So anyway, what you need to do now is, if the radar or whatever collides with the player, then you need to put it that the cop will look at the player. So like it'll look in the direction of the player. Okay, so, and then you need to basically insert, like right click and insert, and you need to add in a timer in every millisecond. Alright, so once you do that, that's pretty much everything you need to do, I think, for this. But if you want to do more complex stuff, we're not really going to get into like how it destroys and stuff, because that would basically mean that the cop would have to touch the player for 5 seconds. Like, it would have to like touch a player for every 5 seconds, and then it would destroy the player. Pretty much everything in this we're not going to worry about. We're just going to worry about 5 and under, and we already got most of the first 3, except on this. You basically need to make a little icon or whatever that flashes red and blue. So basically, to do that, all you have to do is, first of all, you have this and have one frame where it's completely blue, and one frame where it's completely red. And the direction options, you want it to the speed of 4 and it will loop, right? So it'll basically flash over and over. And then if we go to this, the programming, you need to basically well, first of all, at the start of frame, you need to make it this invisible. So like this thing, and you go to visibility and make it invisible. So that way at the start of the frame, it will be invisible. And then when this collides with the player, you need to have it reappear, which you go to visibility and reappear. And then every 3 seconds, it needs to be invisible again. Because if you don't have every 3 seconds it goes invisible, then basically when you leave the cop's line of sight, the red and blue will still be flashing, which it would make you think that the cop's still chasing you, but it's really not. So you just want to make every 3 seconds where you go to timer and just do every 3 seconds, it will go invisible. Don't do any less than that, and I wouldn't recommend any more than that. Just do like 3, because if you do it at like every 1 second, then even if you're inside the line of sight, it would like disappear really fast and it wouldn't really look good. So pretty much once you do that, that's pretty much all you gotta do for this part. And to get into like adding in like these like how it destroys the player and stuff, and adding in like making like victory screens and stuff, like for example, like here it says wait 30 seconds for the cops to stop looking for you. It's not really hard to make, but it's kind of difficult. And like where it does like a busted screen, to like it would pretty much just play out like this, where without this, I mean, like you would go up to the cop and it would just start flashing red and blue or whatever. And then also another thing you need to know, I'm just gonna wait for this to finish because I like finishing my own game. I mean, it's not really a game, it's just pretty much a test of how cop AI works. So anyway, what you need to do, first of all, one thing that's very important, the last thing you need to do, this is like the last thing for cop AI, is you need to make for the properties of the player, I would put it at about, I would say 64 for the player. And then I'd say for the cop about 40. You could go a little bit higher, but if you go any higher than that, then it's gonna get really hard to like get away. And making like acceleration isn't really hard, but it's not really the most fun thing to make. So anyway, this is pretty much it for how to make cop AI. This is pretty much similar to just like zombie AI, which is like there's other videos. There's like another video on YouTube where I got the basic idea for cop AI. It was for this one guy. I forgot his name, but I'm going to put a link to his video in the description. He's actually the one that kind of gave me the idea to make cop AI, because his video is just about zombie AI, but I turned the cop into a zombie and then added the flashing red and blue, so that way I know if I'm getting chased. See, I leave the line of sight, wait 3 seconds, that'll disappear. Leave line of sight, it'll disappear. It'll disappear and then reappear if I go near it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for cop AI. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. And honestly, I did kind of rip off the player, like the cars. I did get those off of Google because it's pretty hard to make. Like, it's not really hard to make your own car, but if you're not an artist like me, then it's not gonna be fun. So anyway, that's pretty much it. All you gotta do, I'll leave a link for the description for the guy for a zombie AI. So if you want to make a cop game, or if you also want to make a zombie AI, I'll leave a link to this one guy on YouTube who pretty much gave me the idea. Alright, peace.